Miria Matembe avudde mu mbeera atabuse alidde obuwuka entabo kwevudde ku bino ebyakoleddwa General Museveni okwata mutabani we n'amuwa obuyinza obuduumira amagye gonna ag'eggwanga n'abumugondomolako n'abanga kati omutabani yasalirawo eggwanga Uganda ku by'ekinnamagye. Tayina kwebuuza ku muntu yenna asalawo obusazi kyayagadde kikolebwe. Bw'agamba nti abantu baabwe tugende tubookye nga bookya, bw'agamba tulumbe Kenya nga balumba, tugende tukubbe Rwanda nga bakuba, tugende tulumbe Congo nga balumba, kuba kati obuyinza bwonna bamuwadde n'obuyinza constitution yali ewa General Museveni okuba nga yakulira amagye g'eggwanga era nga ye commander in chief wa mu bitongole byabikwata mundu byonna yabwejjeeko n'abweyambula n'abukwasa omutabani. Ati n'omutabani kati ye kamala byonna, buli kimu yakimala era omutabani yasalawo kye kiba kikolebwa mu ggwanga Uganda. Bino nno bye bitabudde omubaka omukyala Miria Matembe n'agamba tino kino kyagwewusa era ebigambo bimuvaamu bikambwe nnyo. Ne bannamagye abakulu abakukunavu abali abasirisa obusirisi nga balaba bino bigenda mu maaso alina obubaka bwabwe. Kamukuwe maama Miria Matembe ensonga zino ate asobola okuba nga azitembeeta bulungi naawe omuwulire.
Because I remember when Mchara Magezi was the one, actually the late Magezi, when he rang me and said, you know, the president is reshuffling his cabinet and he's not taking you on. I said, praise the Lord. I said, does he expect any answer from me? A response from me? She said, I don't know. I said, in case she asks you, tell him this is the best decision he has ever taken for my life. So that's how I felt. But anyway, having said that, but I have never regretted having served for my good 20 years as a politician in this country, and having served very distinctively. You remember the positions which I held, very many, and honorable positions, and I retired honorably. Therefore, I don't regret, and I even always thank President Museveni, in case I forget to say it even now. I thank him for that, together with his gallant soldiers, including my brothers, my cousins, my uncles, who went to the bush and fight to bring us redemption of Uganda. If he had not put that environment which established and we worked in, you wouldn't have known that a woman called Matembe existed. Yes, I had studied, I was there, a lawyer, a lecturer, a worker in Bank of Uganda, but I had
you went
passion.
To the DPP's office.
I had a passion. I went to DPP's office, and within 2 months, I could not sustain to see the suffering of the people. Those who were stealing chicken, they would stay in prison forever, and the ones who have robbed banks, they would get sureties and get out. And remember, my passion and vision was to fight for justice, against unfairness and justice. And I went to this institution having studied law, knowing now I'm going to participate in promoting justice. And what do I find? Say, Tatone, you go to court and say, they ask for bail. You say, no, they don't have surety. Could I really contribute to that kind of injustice?
Your conscience couldn't.
So I went to teach. I went to teach, and that's where politics found me. But don't take me
Dr.
away
Matembe.
to put me. I want to talk about the cabinet thing.
Yes, on the cabinet in your book titled "The Struggle for Freedom and Democracy Betrayed."
Yes.
Memos of Miria Matembe.
Yes.
You say that it would be good if censured ministers and those implicated in corruption were not elected or even reappointed.
Yes.
We have a number of them. We have over the years seen that censured ministers are reappointed as ministers. Even in the new cabinet, we have Persis
But
Namgas.
why should you take me to that question? Because what do I say and they implement? Me, my role is to talk. Didn't I say it even after I had said it? You know that book. Don't take me from this issue. You know that book. Don't you know that immediately? You know the story. How I talked about these censured ministers when I said they should not be elected, and how President Museveni rang to tell me, go and tell the press, withdraw it. Isn't it in that book?
It's in the book.
Now why are you disturbing me? Let the people read the book and let me talk about the current.
Because in the new cabinet, there's a censured minister. Okay, let's go to the new cabinet.
Don't take me into... At times I save myself from these words which I use, but you provoke them. Let people read that book, because as you know, in that book, immediately after I had been elected as a member of parliament, in that book itself, I was appointed as Minister of State from minister, and the censured ministers, both of them, were appointed as full cabinet ministers. And you remember how I went and rejected and turned down his appointment because I didn't want it. But you know how he beseeched me and felt like kneeling down. I said, who am I to make a president kneel? Don't make me say these things. They have not brought us today. What brought us today here is what is going on. So
the new cabinet, a transformative one or more of the same?
In fact, what I want to say, I think it is Martin Luther King Jr. who said that if you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl, but at least continue moving. It's that principle that makes me continue talking. Because what haven't I said? What haven't I said? In fact, I'm considering myself as a prophet these days. Because whatever you say, you see it coming. There's nothing I've not said about this wickedness. There's nothing I've left unsaid. But what I want to say now on cabinet now is that you were right to say that I saw things and I should talk about them. Me, when I went to cabinet, by the time I went to cabinet, I was in parliament. You know, we would talk things in parliament and you see maybe things are not going well, but you know, I started at LC1. Whatever I thought we could not do at LC1, I went to LC to 2. I reached the vice chairperson Nakawa division. Whatever I could not do
by then it was actually even RC.
Whatever I could not do that, I had hope that the parliament is doing it. So I went to parliament to do what I could not do. When I reached parliament, we make decisions. Eventually, they are not implemented. We don't know what is happening. And I had hope that cabinet is doing it. Finally, I reached cabinet. I tell you, the time I reached cabinet, and I went with my vigor, with my energy, you know, wanting to talk. I have reached now the final level where we are going to make decisions and improve our country. That was the vigor, that was the energy. And I remember the first thing about we were talking about whatever this agricultural thing which never worked. I forgot. NADS. Do you know that we called nuts? We as cabinetee, we ended up saying this is nuts. But we had no powers about it because we saw that it could not work. It was not explained. But the World Bank of ours forcing it on them. And I said, but you people, everybody was saying like, what can we do? What can we do? I said, what can you do? I thought this is a cabinet take decisions for this country. Then somebody told me, wait, we have a conference. We had an induction conference in Jinja. I think about it was Chiyonga, was it Dandasari? Somebody told me, you know, Honorable, you wait. You will ask these questions to President when you go to Jinja. We went to Jinja, and I was there. So this man comes. He abuses the cabinet. You useless, hopeless people. You are even Obote. You are worse than Obote. He talked. Everybody was like this. He talked. Afterwards, he abused the members of the public servants. He abused all these people. He abused them and said, you are useless. After that, I put up my hand. I said, Mr. President, it's very sad because we were lamenting at cabinet and I thought lamentation will stop when we meet you. Now you have sat there and lamented. So who is it that is going to sort out the problems of Uganda? I told him, for me, in my life, I have never failed. I've never failed, and I'm here to help you not fail. You know, my innocence and genuineness, naive sort of attitude. And I said, I am here to help you. But one thing before I help, I need to know. Because you see, you are attacking these people. You are the only person since the government started who has not been reshuffled. You are the one who has stayed all this time. So I think you are the only one who knows what is it. And I was very genuine. What is it that prevents this cabinet from doing what you want? Tell us the problem. And for me, once I get the problem, I will help you that we fight this problem. And the other thing I will not tell you, I told him, you are attacking public servants. You are abusing them. But even if by the time you came here, if all these public servants were not there, you wouldn't have found anything. So please handle them well. Let them be respected. Mama. When I finished, the first bashing I got from president. You Matembe, who are you to think that I've done nothing in this country? Then he started listing all the good that he has done. If I had another opportunity to say now, I would have said, so why are you lamenting? But I didn't have that opportunity. But everybody was like, shh. And after that, in the evening, I think the next day, every time he was responding, Matembe's public servants, these Matembe's people, I got
it became
so
a Matembe issue.
He was, because I defended the public servants. Then he answered, Matembe's people, Matembe's. I said, what is this? Anyway, I left. Now the next day, this one PS came and said, but he told my PS, why don't you guide your minister? This is not how they talk to the president. Then my PS said, well, that's who she is. Then the other PS came and told me, you see, Honorable, don't you know the president is a god in this country? You cannot talk to the president. I said, what? My God is not this one. I am here to advise, and I will continue to advise. Where am I giving you this background? To tell you, by the time I left the cabinet, I had concluded. If I tell you how she bashed me on the dam saga, after we had done investigation, and I said this money has been stolen, the man stood up and talked. I felt my heart was about to come out. And everybody was like this. I remember they were like that.
Quiet.
So by that time I left and I went to resign. The 2 days I went, I said I want to resign. Then he told me, please, you are doing your work well, don't go. And
the same person who was bashing you publicly.
And he told me, you know, at times we Army people, at times, you know, you just lose it and talk, but please. And you know what he told me? He said, you see, you should have come and told me quietly, me and you. I said, but I couldn't find you, and I saw you going to take decisions which were wrong, and therefore that's why I was bringing this message. And you know, he told me that next time, if you can't find me, and you see we are arguing about something, I will wink. What do they call it when you...
Yes, winking.
I will wink my eye, so you stop there, so we shall get time and you tell me when we are to. Now, I won't give you the details of all these things, but my conclusion is, by the time I left cabinet, I knew entirely that President Museveni does not value cabinet at all. In practical terms, cabinet is a body which must be there to what language would you use? I lose words. To
rubber
endorse,
stamp.
To legalize or to legalize or to ratify, to know that yes, there are bodies in this country, the executive works with cabinet, but I can assure you, and those people cannot deny, the cabinet does not mean anything to Museveni. It is to go and endorse and show to public that institutions are working according to what they should work. So whether she reshuffles, whether she changes, she stopped long ago of appointing anybody who would make sense to cabinet. They are there, some of them, but they don't. They fear. They are all like this. And by the way, they don't see him. You want to see the president? Where do you see him? So for him, the body is there. When he wants to, he comes, they endorse, and that's it. Therefore, whether reshuffle or no reshuffle or whatever, they don't mean anything. They are seated there. She will just talk and tell them this. you don't know how they were shaking, and those ones were even distinguished. I remember Honorable Katere Chiduma Kubia. The man was woo, and they all do like this, and me, I put my hand. You see, so you don't know what is happening. People need to know that these are the things which happen. Therefore, for me, cabinet or no cabinet, it doesn't make sense. They are there to eat and drink and get their salaries. And then another thing which I want to say and stop. What hurts me though is that these people who, even when they would like to do work, they can't. They must do what he wants them to do, and they must wait. But what disturbs me, a cabinet minister is supposed to be an advisor to the president. Now, if a minister cannot or is incapable of advising you when he's a minister, and you remove her or him, why do you make him a presidential advisor, a senior presidential advisor, to advise you when he couldn't advise you in cabinet? Now you put him, all this thing which is created as a dumping, a project for pleasing retired Ugandans, without knowing the impact on Ugandans. Last reshuffle, many of the ministers who were not taken on were presidential senior advisors. They get the cars, they remain on the salary, they are just enjoying all these things, and they never see him, and they never advise him, but they are there earning taxpayers' money, while the general public is suffering with poverty, with misery, and that kind of thing.
Thank you, Dr. Matembe, and I really do appreciate you for that context and background, because you were once in cabinet. Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi, good to have you on the show.
I'm sorry for coming late.
Yeah,
I was caught up with one or two. It's Ramadan.
Yeah.
Sometimes
MPs are not in town, they are in Bukede.
We are surprised.
Is there a roll call?
The speaker is launching a project
and the president is there.
I'm going to see you.
Yeah.
I even don't know whether that's how removed I am. I didn't even know where the speaker is launching a hospital.
Like I didn't
even
know
if I
that there was
landed
a
on
cabinet reshuffle.
it will not take my attention.
Yeah.
Things. And then there was a talk that the opposition, not opposition, I don't call it opposition. Me, I call it people who love Uganda, who don't want our money to be stolen. But for them, they call it opposition. The members of parliament who wanted to raise this issue in parliament. Don't you know that the military and police was released to parliament? It engulfed parliament. You could not go to parliament. Just the other day. Now, if you know that, why do you start questioning him all that time? Because you know they told you militarization. Anybody whom they think is coming to do whatever, military, grab, and that kind of thing. So don't be, also you press. Ask us the right questions. Don't just squeeze us. Because you know what is happening. What can parliament do? Okay, I choose them of being bought and so on and so forth. But as long as those who don't like what is being done are very few, they cannot do anything to change the decisions there.
Why I was questioning him is because they have the mandate of the people, and they have the privilege of holding that mandate.
By the way, do they even have the mandate if they were bought? Did they even elect? Did they decide on their own and elect the members of parliament they wanted? Please go down. We are talking about Uganda as a nation, not just institutions here and there.
Nicholas Opio, let me bring in here. Now, do we say now that the MK project is finally taking shape?
No. It's those see, because people who said this was a project many years ago were dismissed as jokers. You remember what happened to General Sejusa, when he said these things, or what happened to Mwanga Chivumbi and his group. They were being beaten and arrested every day for demonstrating against the life presidency. So this thing has been in the works for a long time. And I think that it would have even been actually now in force if you had perhaps if it was somebody else, because the biggest problem to Mozi is Mozi himself. Okay? So this is not a secret anymore, that there's an attempt to try and pass on the presidency to a family member. That is not a problem now. I mean, people know it. I think that what we have to do is begin to think about, so first reflect on how we got to this point, the machinations that have been made to get us to this point, and begin to ask, what are the building blocks that is being used to propel this legacy of the Buhozi thing, and how can the people begin to dismantle that? Because I think that you're going to plunge this country into real chaos if you have a Muhoozi presidency. There's no doubt about it.
Why?
I'll tell you why.
Because you call it chaos. What? And I want to ask this genuinely: what is wrong with a Muhoozi presidency?
Look, anybody has the right to contest for presidency if they played by the rules. He's not playing by the rules. In fact, if you criticize him, you might get arrested, you might get beaten, get all manners of intimidation. And if he was playing by the rules that everybody is playing by,
Ugandans, one day they will not say she did not tell us. You can imagine now what is happening. Instead of questioning why, what is this money, what, all of them are there dancing and enjoying the taxpayers' money. But anyway, about Muhoozi project, if you go into NBS, my videos which I talk, I remember saying it very clearly that Ugandans, if you are not careful, this man will rule you. It is there. It's like a prophecy. I said it. Now, for me, the background I want to give, since I'm a senior citizen, this project actually, I don't know whether it started with the declaration of Gaddafi, or whether it is the President Museveni who told Gaddafi to declare it. We were at Kororo Airstrip on independence, celebrating independence. And this Gaddafi man, the late Gaddafi, he said, what do you want elections? What are you talking about elections for? Don't you, this son here, you take over. And you know, he said, you don't buy the elections. How can you be a leader of a country and you involve in elections? That was Gaddafi at Kororo Airstrip. And he said, don't you have this your son? Let him go. He will take over you, and that's it. And then it was after Museveni said, like this, his hand. I don't know whether they had discussed it in the night, but he brushed it off like that. And then from then, that's after about a year or something, the man was recruited in the army, then major, then courses, then all that.
Then Commander SFC.
But before then, when I was Minister for Ethics and Integrity, the first round, you know, I was a minister for first 3 years before we went to elections. And by those 3 years before we went to elections, when we went to elections, by then I never wanted to be appointed a minister again. But these 3 years, which I was struggling with like hell, fighting corruption among the people who never wanted to fight it at all. The president, one time we were talking, I was telling him, you know, it is very tough, these huge, big people, to catch them, the evidence and so on. I was reporting to him the challenges. Then he said, but you, why don't you go and recruit some people, you know, get some people down there whom you can put there in institutions and they go there and spy and, you know, investigate and spy for you, and then we may be able to catch these people. And he said, for me, I have asked this Muhoozi, my son, he's going in schools. I've sent him in universities, in what? He's recruiting, interesting the young people to be in the army. I'm sending him, he goes there around and he recruits and he in the universities. That was so early, 2003. And I told the president, but you, sir, Your Excellency, for you have a budget. You have money to do that. But for me, my ministry doesn't even have resources. And by then, my ministry was not even funded. They just funded the staff only. I used to get all the resources from donors. So I told him, I can't, I wish I could do that. But then it didn't click to me about recruiting the young people in the army. Down the road, he had done it so much, and everybody, it was like the man is taking over the army. He's, you know, Win Byanyima brought it at Parliament 2000 and is it 2001, around there, 2001, when of course basically had decided to go to contest. Win Byanyima brought it in Parliament. Said, but you people, what is Mos doing recruiting army people in the army? And then people said, but this Winnie, this opposition people are disturbing us. Now the young man, why should they now go after the young man, innocent young man? What do they want with this innocent young man? You know, that one. So you can see that is the history of it. Now, eventually you see where it has reached. Besides that, I want to bring Ugandans to the project of the 50 years dynasty. I don't know whether you know about that. The 60 years of dynasty. You know what dynasty means? How these people came in their mind that they are going to rule this Uganda. A certain, should I say ethnicity or tribe, but it dynasty.
Dr. Matembe, you had a chance to put a stop.
I'm now telling you, don't shut me down. I had a chance. Were you there? Were you there? When I had a chance to speak, was entirely thrown away. That time I didn't even have the chance to speak. I had the chance to speak from the Parliament. But the dynasty thing, eventually we got like sort of minutes. We managed to secure these minutes. We said, wait a minute, is this thing of dynasty true? And they were a number of people there, 50 years of dynasty. We presented, the issue was raised before Parliament when there was Sekande as a speaker, and then Sekande said he resolved that there would be form a committee to investigate into this matter. Do you hear? And then I think eventually by then the Parliament was going to recess, and I mean to stop. Now from that time, that thing of dynasty was never discussed. So I'm giving you this to show you the history of this project. Say that actually whoever came to do this project came with it, I think, I don't know. But having said that, me, I don't want to lament and be desperate and be hopeless. I want to see that Ugandans, if their eyes are closed, I have always shouted to them, at least I will be redeemed, that I have never kept quiet. Because there is this man, this one who reads a lot, who said that the people who kill the nation are not the ones who do evil, but those ones who keep quiet and do nothing. So for me, I've been telling Ugandans that each of us, surely our eyes need to open. We need to open our, it is not discussing Muhoozi, it is not discussing Museveni, it is talking about Uganda. Uganda belongs to Ugandans. Uganda does not belong to one family. And let me tell you, actually, as of now, Uganda belongs to one family. As of now, one family has captured this nation. You know very well, even these ministers whom they appoint, it has to be Salim Sare. You know people go there. It is Salim Sare who decides, who recommends, who does all these things, and then they appoint the ministers. Now, it is recommended to the president. Now the army is led by Muhoozi. And of course the education is the first lady. Now it is like a trinity. We have a physical trinity here in Uganda, which is now ruling and taking over Uganda. But my hope is in the Holy Trinity, the blessed Holy Trinity of God, which is God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. That Trinity is in full control, I can assure you. That Trinity is watching the situation. That Trinity it cannot be defeated by power or by might. Let me tell you, I believe in the word of God, and it is based on our motto, the foundation of this country, and that's why what I'm saying, I am calling upon Ugandans.
Dr. Matembe, it's been 40 years.
Very good. The children of Israel crossed at 40 years. So don't joke with these 40 years we are coming to. I can prophesy on that. Don't joke with those 40 years you are talking about. They went in the desert round and round for 40 years. When they cried to the Lord, he heard and redeemed them. And for me, I'm not here to lament. I'm not here to cry. I was here to tell you the history and all that kind of thing. But my hope is in the Holy Blessed Trinity, not in the wicked Trinity down here.
Okay.
And so I want to appeal to Ugandans, including you, who is saying, but it is 40 years. Is there anything impossible before God? It is 40 years, as Karhanga was saying. If Ugandans can wake up and refuse to be bought with small money, and wake up and say, wait a minute, is this a kingdom? Wait a minute, can't we choose? Can't we have our own leaders? Is our nation belonging to one family? If they can raise up and cry to the Lord, God will redeem us. And I can assure you, let me tell you, if all of them are like I'm saying, is saying, and you think it will be too late, these guns, the guns, it is God who allows the bullet to get out of the guns. These guns, the wicked can be destroyed by their own guns. And me, I want to pray. I want to pray for President Museveni and his wife and his son. I want to pray for them. And I want to remind them of Gaddafi. He lost and all his children. Saddam Hussein. I want them to wake up. I'm not only calling upon Ugandans who are not in power, but also the Ugandans who are holding the power, to know that this world, they should live well. They should live well, unless when we call upon our God, they may end up badly. But
Dr. Matembe, Dr. Matembe, it is the Ugandans you're calling upon that give President Museveni a comfortable
let me tell you,
51%.
Poor them. They don't give, they don't vote, they were corrupted. Banange, it was a scheme. It was a long scheme, some of us which we didn't know. We embraced the system knowing we are embracing Uganda for deliverance. But down the road, there was another, some people's ambition. For us, we went with the vision. And when we found it, for us of us, we escaped and left. But little did I know that actually even the poor in this country was deliberately structured to make Ugandans beg. Why weren't they begging? You think this is the first time for Ugandans to be poor? Why? Because there are more resources, more whatever factories, more everything. Why are people poorer and poorer in the mind, in the spirit, and in the heart?
Dr. Matembe, this is what I'm saying, that you have Ugandans that are poor, but also give President Museveni 58.64%.
But you cannot.
Because
why do you say they give? Who told you they give? Let me tell you, for instance, I have a personal experience. For instance, when I saw the elderly citizens suffering, all the time they ran to me to fight, please, we are suffering, they are taking away the land, they are beating us. I was crying out to God, who will speak to these people? Then I saw a policy that the senior citizens have got a place in parliament. They need to be represented. I said, God, you have answered me. Let me go to represent the senior citizen. Now, and you know, I was really committed. When I go there, I make policies. I convince them we make policies to protect our senior citizens. Because senior citizens who retire in this country, doctors, nurses, they are treated like garbage.
So you stood for an election.
This nation is standing on their shoulders. I said, well, I didn't know it then. Now it is also affecting me. And now there is a chance to go and speak for them.
So you stood for an election, member of parliament for the elderly.
Woman representative for the whole nation as elderly. And my mind said, if it can't be you, you are here fighting for women, for young children, if it can't be you, who can it be? Do you know who is said to have defeated me? You will never know that woman. She will never say anything, and years are passing, and actually people thought I was Simanyi Chisanja, the one in Kampala, but the one, what do they call it? Cooperative workers, those Nsamis. The person who studied us at Nsamizi as a, I don't know, I can't remember what they call them, but P7, P8 there, and you go to Nsamizi, and they become workers, cooperative or whatever. Now, 78 years. And here was Miria Matembe, a former everything, commissioner, lawyer, what? And I have the energy. I have what it takes to represent the senior citizen. Do you know what I saw? Horosero patches. Horosero. They released all the resources in this country. Or it was how many billions they gave her to traverse the whole country. And then on the voting itself, I tell you, and the electoral commissioner was there. When I reached at the election point, I found they had pitched a tent where her team was receiving all the elders who are coming in, giving them money, giving them water, and the electoral commission was there watching. And when I came, I sat there, and I sat and nobody could come to me. They would give them money, take them to the hotels. That was prior. Then I stayed there. The next day I almost did not come. I said, no, I never start things and leave. I came back. I sat there. And that night, they put them in a hotel in wherever. They made a party. They drank, they enjoyed, and on the day of elections, I went and sat there. And so they came, Uraini. When I gave my statement, they all stood up and bowed and clapped to me because they knew this is the person. If she goes there, she could do something. When she stood up to campaign, she said she will make public toilets for the elderly. That's what she said. She said nothing. But when we went to vote, and she danced. They were dancing. We have kicked the PhDs. We have kicked them in the dust and the sand. That's what it was. Now, have you ever anything to do with the elderly in that parliament? 5 people are there. Have you ever had anybody stand and say anything? Have you ever hosted her here even? So don't tell that Ugandan. Me, I didn't believe that an old person, a former doctor, a former what, can be both. I didn't believe it. But that's the extent to which Ugandans have been enslaved.
The premise of the argument
is
that elections do not represent the wishes of the people.
They can't.
And that your 58 figure is...
Matembe, ndowooza muwulidde bulungi ensonga ze engeri gy'azirambisemu n'engeri ebigambo gy'abikuttemu ku kyokuba nti General Museveni yakutte mutabani we n'amugundumalako obuyinza bwonna obuduumira amagye g'eggwanga Uganda era gye tunaatuuka gye tunaagwa yonna Bannayuganda twesibe ebbiri nti ffe tulina kati obuvunaanyizibwa okulwana okwejja eno gye tugenze ewala kuba tekigenda kuba kyangu. Mbagala nnyo mwena abaliko mwebalikubaako Omukama Katonda nsaba bankuumire. Tujja kuba tuddamu tugambe ebigambo bw'anabakkiriza ddundalo ge bannamugereka bataayi mweraba.